So now it has become official that Netflix has won the bidding war for Warner Brothers. Netflix has overtaken both Paramount and Comcast in the race. So now, keep your eyes glued to the internet for the next 1 or 2 months, because the announcements that are about to come will be huge. Now, I know fans must be wondering, how did this deal even become possible? What happens to the future of the DCU now? What new possibilities does this open? We all clearly know that this deal is going to have a massive impact on the future of cinema. Warner Brothers' entire way of releasing films and rolling out content is about to change. And along with that, for us superhero fans, the future of the DCU is now going to look completely different. So today's video is about exactly that, understanding this deal and the impact it will have. So without wasting any time, let's begin. The official announcement. Let's start with the official update. Recently, on December 5th at 5:30 p.m., Netflix officially posted on X, Twitter, declaring that they had won the bidding war and that they are now ready to define the next century of the entertainment industry. But what's interesting is that the news of Netflix's victory had already leaked hours earlier, at around 9 a.m., when Bloomberg published their article stating that Warner Brothers had accepted Netflix's bid and both companies were moving forward into exclusive talks. As soon as Bloomberg's report came out, media outlets rushed to cover the story. From Variety to Deadline, and even Forbes, everyone began reporting it. But the question is, why is this such a big deal? Warner Brothers studios, streaming services, and all their assets combined give the company a valuation of around $60 billion. And the deal being discussed with Netflix is currently estimated at $82 billion, far higher than even Warner Brothers' own expectations. However, one thing you should clearly understand. Netflix has only won the bidding war. They have not acquired Warner Brothers yet. This means Netflix's offer was the most appealing, so Warner Brothers has chosen to enter exclusive negotiations with them. In the next few weeks, if Warner Brothers declares that they are ready to finalize the deal, then Netflix's acquisition process will officially begin. So technically, things can still change on paper, but the way Netflix has beaten Comcast and Paramount suggests they are not backing out. So realistically, we can assume Netflix will complete this acquisition. And now the big question for us superhero fans. What happens to the DCU from here? What is the future of DC Studios? Let's break this down step by step. The major overhaul. Whenever one company acquires another, a lot of major changes begin immediately. This happens because the new owner wants to restructure everything according to their vision so the acquired company aligns with their goals and ideals. We have seen this repeatedly. In fact, when Discovery acquired Warner Brothers, the changes were so massive that the entire DCU had to be scrapped, new executives were brought in, and that was the reason James Gunn was hired in the first place. Now, most of these changes happen at higher positions, CEOs, presidents, top executives. Each studio gets reorganized so that the new owner can put people in positions who they believe are best suited for the company's direction. And Netflix will definitely do the same. Because of this, someone who has been deeply involved in the DCU, David Zaslav, now seems to have his job at risk. We all know Zaslav is currently the CEO of both Discovery and Warner Brothers. But if this acquisition goes through, his chances of staying drop significantly. Now, some people might argue that David Zaslav had already signed a contract with Warner Brothers stating he would remain CEO until 2030, even if the company split. And this is true. Deadline also reported this earlier. But here's the key detail. That contract does not mention anything about a change in ownership. According to standard M&A, merger and acquisition, procedures, contracts like these can be modified after new ownership takes over. The company would simply have to pay Zaslav a large exit amount if they remove him from the CEO role. And after that, Netflix can easily appoint its own new CEO. If David Zaslav gets replaced, then James Gunn and Peter Safran will lose the strong support they previously enjoyed under him. For this, I want to show you an article from Deadline. In that article, it was explained how David Zaslav personally introduced James Gunn and promised him complete creative freedom for the next 8 to 10 years to build the new DC universe. Gunn was planning to divide the DCU across films, series, and games, and Zaslav had promised full resources for all of it. So now, if Netflix replaces Zaslav, then both James Gunn and the DCU could face a huge setback. This brings us to the next point, a new DCU. What will happen to the DCU in the future? We will know within the next 1 or 2 months. But there are some things we can talk about right now. For example, James Gunn may no longer remain the co-owner and CEO of DC Studios. Yes, even if Netflix decides to retain James Gunn, it is clear that he will no longer be the ultimate decision-maker at DC Studios. The biggest reason is that Netflix does not operate with overlapping divisions, where one company sits under another and each has its own independent executives and owners. Netflix runs as a flat organization, where the hierarchy stays uniform to avoid corporate bureaucracy. That is why Netflix will likely merge DC Studios directly into its own structure. And because of that, James Gunn will no longer have the unlimited creative freedom he currently enjoys. So the way Gunn constantly posts announcements on Threads and X that may completely disappear because the chances are very high that he will no longer hold major decision-making power. Along with that, get ready to pay more for your subscription. This next outcome is extremely interesting, and it might even make fans angry. According to the deal, Netflix will acquire HBO and HBO Max, which means all HBO content can shift to Netflix. But that also means that even though Netflix claims that DC movies will still release in theaters, those movies will arrive on Netflix within 30 to 40 days, and that too under a higher subscription tier. Because Netflix has spent a massive amount to acquire Warner Brothers, they will definitely push for exclusivity on Warner Brothers content to recover that investment. There's another important thing I want to tell you. We know James Gunn himself planned to divide the DCU into movies and series, but he never planned for OTT-exclusive DC movies. But now, with Netflix acquiring Warner Brothers, there is a strong chance that some DCU films may become OTT-exclusive without any theatrical release, yet still remain part of DCU canon. Why would that happen? Because for projects that Netflix believes might not succeed in theaters, they won't take the theatrical risk. But since those films are part of the DCU lore, releasing them directly on Netflix will still attract subscribers. A movie that might flop in theaters will instead drive subscription numbers. So Netflix saves theatrical distribution costs and boosts subscriptions. Yes, it may sound like a greedy strategy, but for Netflix, it is profitable. These are all the changes that are almost certain to happen. Now, if we talk about who will lead DC Studios next, that is a big debate. Because we still don't know what kind of relationship James Gunn has with Netflix or whether Netflix trusts him with long-term leadership. But is James Gunn going to step down? We'll know within the next month or so. Will Zack Snyder return to lead DC? The chances are not zero, but not very solid either. Even if Snyder doesn't return as the head, the chances of Snyderverse movies coming back are now alive again. Because even though Snyder's Netflix projects didn't perform well, Netflix fully understands that there is huge demand among fans for Snyder's DC projects. Also, we should not forget, Netflix is fundamentally an OTT company. So if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, it is possible that one day Warner Brothers' theatrical releases may reduce or even stop. Yes, that is a real possibility. So yes, this deal has the potential to change the future of cinema completely. But at the same time, as fans, we can expect amazing DC content on Netflix. Nothing can stop that. Now tell me, how do you feel about this deal? Do you think your movie watching experience will change? Or maybe things won't change much? Also, let me know, if Netflix increases subscription prices, will you still be ready to pay? Let's talk about everything in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like it and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you, guys.